Hello everyone, welcome to Powerline. I'm your host Falcon Blaze, and today I have a Victor deck profile to show you. So starting off, we have our starter, Extreme Battler Vict Head.
Look at that head.
We had to look at that head. I prefer this one over the other available starter, only because it does replace itself. It gives you an extra card in your hand, and if you're rushing really hard as you should, it'll countercharge one for you. For trigger lineup, 6 draws, and we also have 6 crits, 2 break passes, and 4 Star Blog Lance, because it's always nice to be able to unlock your cards, and if you're not fighting Link Joker, it's just a free countercharge. And of course, for raw gold energy, they're heal that countercharges and cell charges, because it's always nice to be able to have that option. For grade 1s, we have 3 Stride Enablers. Always important to be able to stride. 2 copies of Extreme Battler Geralhawk. It's just a nice card. You counterblast 1 and put it into soul when you boost to stand something, and it gets an extra 2k. Enables rush, just a nice card overall. For the new Victor Perfect Guard, it Perfect Guards Victors, which is fine. You have enough rear guards, so that'll never be a problem, especially with the draws. And when you do that, if you happen to have another, let's see, no, you can just counter blast 1 to draw a card. It helps keep card advantage.
What the fuck?
And to round off the grade 1s, 4 copies of Extreme Battler Gunsdawn. This card is fantastic. At GB1, you rest it, you choose up to 5 of your rear guards, and they all get resist. So that just shuts down many counters that could happen from Cowgirl, Link Joker, Narukami. Just fantastic. And its rush ability, once per turn when it stands, it gets plus 4k for every card in your G zone, which accumulates very fast. Moving on to grade 2. 1 copy of Magical Performer. I'm probably going to bump her up to 2, just because it also gets, when it stands once per turn, it gets plus 5k for every card in your G zone. And again, the G zone accumulates very quickly in the deck.
That's like my dead.
3 copies of Sever Temper. It's GB2. When it stands, it gets plus 5k until end of turn, which is very nice, very easy to pull off. It's GB1. Whenever your drive check reveals at grade 3, you retire one of your opponent's units in the front row with equal or less power than this, which is very easy, very straightforward. Might replace one for another Magical Performer.
Legit, how is he not dead?
We run 4 copies of Extreme Battler Ninjad, mostly because it helps you stand your rear guards. And it also gets it gives that unit a small little power boost for every card in your G zone, which again accumulates very quickly in this deck, so it adds up. And then 4 copies of Extreme Battler Golsachi. Golsachi is the best 2 in the deck. If you have a Vanguard with Victor, it gets resist, so it's very hard to kill this. And then it also has a once per turn effect, Counterblast 1. When it attacks, you may stand something. So it enables so many plays. And its own rush effect for GB2, when it stands, it gets plus 7k until end of turn. Which is, it lets it swing for 16 by itself with no boost. Excellent card. For grade 3s, we're on 4 copies of Excessive Battler Victor, because its GB2 is still active in the rear guard. Plus, it's important to have Victor as your Vanguard. Its on-stride skill, it's still pretty good, but you gotta give it to the new Victor. Zubat Battler Victor. This Victor is just amazing. Counterblast 1 when you stride, you draw a card, then you get to call something, and you give it a skill to restand a unit when it swings. And then at the end of your turn, if you've been blowing off all your resources, you have 1 or less damage, you countercharge 1. You have 1 or less soul, you soul charge 1. Just a great way to always have resources. To the stride zone, we run 1 copy of Sabreeze because Generation Break is important, and this deck doesn't care as much about Counterblast as it used to. 1 Tribute, just to have the option to retire.
Pop rocks?
2 copies of Meteor Kaiser Victoplasma. It's still a good card to stride into, especially if, God forbid, for some reason you can't have front row, it's locked, or you can't unlock it, or you just have absolutely nothing for some strange reason. 4 copies of Meteor Kaiser Victor. It's kind of just here to have. You almost will never need to go into it, but its effect is still free. It's no counterblast to do any of it. One copy of Winning Champ Victor, your first stride, and it will almost always put you at GB4, if not higher. Just an excellent card. And then by the time it swings, it will let you draw a card and retire a unit. Just pure excellence there. 2 copies of Favorite Champ Victor, because this card wins you the game. This card can restand multiple times at a turn. And yes, it does get -2 drives every time it does it, but the conditions are very easy to obtain, and you can continuously just ram the opponent. They usually don't survive once you stride into this. GB8, in case for some reason you actually get to GB8, you have this to finish off the game. But realistically, you should never have to get all the way to GB8. For G-Guardians, you have 1 Junior. For if you absolutely have no resources whatsoever, this will get extra shield and give you resources. Counter charge 2, soul charge 2 if you're completely empty on each one. And 3 of the new G-Guardian, Dongman Titan. This one, if you have less rear guards, which usually if you fight a control matchup, you're always going to have less rear guards, it gets a free 10k shield. And while it's face up in the G zone, Soul Blast 1, choose any card that's face down and turn it face up. So this will give you a free counter charge or unlock a unit as long as you Soul Blast 1. So very useful card. And that's it. That's my Victor deck. If you have any comments, please leave them in the section below. And like, comment, subscribe.